BMW designs tend to pull off an impressive trick. No matter how much they're criticised at launch, they almost always mellow with age. The E36 3 Series in the 90s was named too angular. The E46 3 Series was said to be too boring a decade later. And in the mid-2000s, lots of BMWs were controversial in their styling, thanks to the blocky, angular lines favoured by the then head of design, Chris Bangle. And that includes the 3 Series E90. And yet, most of those cars are well on their way to modern classic car status. But there is one styling feature that has caused more controversy than any other: the grille. And one of the earliest victims of the BMW big grille syndrome was this, the coupe version of the 3 Series, known of course as the 4 Series. Question though is this: 4 years after it was first launched, have we gotten used to its striking face? I think yes, we have. Don't worry, I've got no buttons or studs or zips. Perhaps it's not the prettiest, but it is more distinctive than the 3 Series grille, if you have a look at that one right there. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Perhaps more importantly, we're here to discover if the differences between these two cars is more than just skin deep, and which one is best. To do this, we have extracted these two from Motorpoint stock, and to make our testing as scientific as possible, they're both finished in identical alpine white paint, both feature exactly the same engine and automatic gearbox, and are both in M Sport trim. They do differ on price though. Well, they sort of do and they sort of don't. They both have a sticker price of $26,499, but because the 4 Series was more expensive brand new, this car is 3 years old and it has 24,000 miles on the clock, whereas the 3 Series is just 18 months old and has 14,000 miles on the clock. I almost said 4 then, 14,000 miles on the clock. And therefore, it still has 1.5 years left of the manufacturer's warranty. We should note at this point that you can get all sorts of engine flavours for both the 3 and 4 Series, although diesels are now confined to older cars only, and you can't get a plug-in hybrid version of the 4 Series Coupe, but we're going to focus for the sake of this video on a more simple comparison. And we haven't even mentioned the 4 Series Grand Coupe, convertible, or the 3 Series Touring Estates. Well, we have now, albeit only briefly. So apart from the extra glamour that the coupe body style brings, and perhaps the dubious benefit of that big old grille, can I do an impression of it still? Anyway, what else does the 4 Series get you that the 3 Series doesn't? Well, it's ever so slightly longer, lower and wider, and it has sportier suspension, plus the distance between the two front wheels, i.e. the front track, is slightly greater, all of which theoretically should make the 4 Series more engaging and exciting to drive. Well, we'll find out about that soon. Unfortunately, because the car was more expensive when new, we've got this older model, which features the pre-facelift 3 Series and 4 Series dashboard. Now, while that means that you get a dashboard which is arguably ever so slightly less smart than the newer ones, which you'll see in a moment, a benefit, however, is that you get these physical buttons for the heating and ventilation controls, which you don't get in the newer cars. As you can see, it's much more minimalist in here, and we've got a much swisher integrated screen, which is ever so slightly less user-friendly compared with the old one. We've still got the same toys and gadgets and the good old BMW iDrive controller here, but we're a bit more reliant on the touch screen. No controls for the heaters. Also, and this is probably a subjective thing, I prefer the chunkier gear selector in the older models because it's just a bit more tactile, as opposed to this little thing here, which is just not quite as easy to use. Overall though, there's really not much to split the two cars, just from sitting in the front seats. Both are comfortable, feature identically supportive seats, and both deliver a really great driving position. Although you just feel ever so slightly more hunkered down in the 4 Series. And if you like the older dash but want a 3 Series, well, you can go for an older car and you'll save a fair bit of money. Of course, the two cars differ a fair bit back here. In the 3 Series, we've got plenty of space, the sort of space that you would expect from a family saloon car. If you're regularly carrying friends, family or children, there is plenty of room for them. I mean, it's no limousine, but it's spacious enough. And there are cup holders, 3-way split folding seats, climate control settings and device charging sockets. Naturally, space is a little less generous. There is less headroom, hard to tell because the driver's seat is set to my position, but if you're Tim Roadie heightness, no, just height, about 6 foot, 6'3", something like that. I'm sure he's told me so many times how tall he is. He might find that if the seat is in his driving position, back here will be too squishy. I can definitely notice that there is less headroom, and you do get climate control settings, but no device chargers. So maybe have some phone free time, unless of course you're watching Motorpoint videos, in which case keep watching. And there are cup holders, just like you get in the 3 Series. You don't get any rear doors though, so getting in and out is not quite as graceful. But if you can cope with slightly less space, it's actually quite cosy and comfortable. It's a pleasant place to be. It is a BMW. When it comes to boot space, the 3 Series is bigger. There's 480 litres of room, but the 4 Series is not actually that far behind. There's 440 litres of room here, which is enough for 2 sets of golf clubs, holiday luggage for 2 weeks, or a rather extravagant shopping trip. Although with the 3 Series, you can have a slightly extra extravagant shopping trip. As we said before, we have got identical drivetrains. We've got 184 horsepower, a smooth and responsive 8-speed automatic gearbox and rear-wheel drive in both vehicles. Now, the engine is efficient and enthusiastic, but maybe not the most characterful, although it is a little bit more enthusiastic in the 4 Series because this slippery shape means you get a top speed of 149 miles per hour versus 146 miles per hour in this car. Not that we're going to be driving at those sorts of speeds. And yet the 0 to 60 time in this car is faster. It's 7.4 seconds, where it's 7.5 seconds in the 4 Series. Really though, there's nothing to separate the two cars on performance, nor really about the way the two go about delivering it. The slightly smaller wheels do make it ride a tad more smoothly than the 4 Series, but it's not an especially soothing car in M Sport trim. As for handling, the BMW 3 Series is a typically responsive, agile and polished BMW. There's very little body roll, plenty of grip, and it is very keen to change direction without ever feeling unstable. Economy is interesting though, because although the 3 Series is ostensibly the more practical, sensible one of the two, it's actually a touch more thirsty than the 4 Series, with 42.8 miles per gallon playing 44.1. Of course, in the real world, you won't notice much of a difference at the petrol pumps, but you will notice a difference from the driving seats. Now we're in the 4 Series, it feels lower and wider, and you seem to sit further down in it. And even though if you've got a tape measure out, those differences are very tiny, they are actually tangible. The same goes for the driving experience. It's so similar to the 3 Series, but the slightly stiffer, lower suspension, the wider track and the lower roof all combine to actually create a difference that's greater than the sum of its parts might suggest. In short, the 4 Series is like a 3 Series Plus. It goes about everything that a 3 Series does in the same way, only more so. In the end, whether you go for a 3 Series or a 4 Series probably depends on what the word practicality means to you. The 3 Series has a marginally bigger boot, a bit more spacious in the interior, you can fit 3 people in the back, and you've got 2 rear doors. So perhaps the saloon style body will suit you better. But if you're buying a BMW, the driving experience is probably a big consideration for you. And if that is the case, then the slightly more engaging and exciting driving experience that the 4 Series offers, plus the still very usable boot and spacious enough for 2 people anyway, if they're not 6'3", that means the coupe wins by a nose.